ProSeries Professional Tax time-saving tools. There are a number of tools in ProSeries designed to streamline a firm's overall workflow, helping to eliminate manual tasks and be more productive. Let's take a look at a few of these now. ProSeries has something called a K1 transfer. So if you're doing a partnership or an S-Corp return, the data needed on the K1 screen for the 1040 automatically and seamlessly flows from the business return, filling out your client's 1040 Schedule K1. We have something very unique called a bank and broker import. This is a tool that we include in the program at no additional charge. We work with about 150 or so banks and brokerages so that if you want, you can link directly to your client's, let's say, E-Trade account and import all the data right into the program, eliminating all that data entry. We also do the married filing separate joint comparison. So we tell you, is it better for the client to file separately or jointly? If it's separately, there's a button that you can click to then create the two brand new returns that you need. Another really cool feature is called tracking missing information. You know, sometimes when you interview a client, they don't bring you everything. You have to keep track of that so you make sure you get it. This is a way to do that electronically. We also allow for estimated entries. The client doesn't know the amount of contract labor on their Schedule C. Go ahead and pop in $20,000. We will track it as an estimate, but we will still use that in the overall calculation of the tax return. You can also leave notes on specific screens in ProSeries, which I'll show you in just a moment. And I'm going to talk a little bit about eSignature. This is our tool where you can send a request to your client via email that they can sign their 8879 through DocuSign's signature tool. So let me go ahead and jump in the product now, and let's take a look at a couple of these items that I spoke of. So the first one is tracking missing information. This is one of our clients' favorite features. I'll open up Kevin Jones. Kevin just came into me. He's got a business, and I'll click on Schedule C on the left and scroll down into the section for expenses. Kevin said, you know what? I don't know what the advertising expense is on my business. I have no idea. Or it could have been that he misplaced a W-2. Instead of you handwriting that somewhere and then typing out an email to send to the client, in ProSeries, just right-click the field and say, add or edit missing client information. And what it will do is produce a box in the upper left-hand side of the screen. Every time you mark one of these items, we add it to the list of items that we're tracking. When you're ready to communicate it to the client, simply click the print/email button. And we've already done the work of formatting the email. Just go ahead and click email and send it off to your client. This feature alone can save about 15 minutes when you have the need to track missing information, especially when you compare it against your current process. Estimated entries. Client told me they're not really sure. They think their commission and fees paid was about 20 grand. But they're not sure they need to verify it. So what you do is you put in the 20,000, you right click and you say, I want to mark this as an estimated number. And what it will do is show the field with red lettering and now a red background. That's how you know it's an estimate. We'll still use that 20,000 in the overall calculation of the tax return, so at least you can give the client a tentative bottom line. And we also track it in our diagnostics. So when you look at your diagnostics, we'll remind you, hey, don't forget, there's an amount on line 10 that's marked as an estimate, so you won't overlook it. Field notes. If you look at the contract labor field in the upper right-hand side of the field, there's a pencil. That means I left a note on that field. You can leave a note anywhere. Right-click your mouse and say, add or edit a note. This is a note on the contract labor field of Schedule C. I didn't say it was a good note, but it's just giving you an idea of how these are created. You can create them on every field, and if you want, when you're looking at your diagnostics, you can also include the notes, so you can review each note that you may have left for a client for that specific year. Now let's take a little look at eSignature. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out. Go ahead and unmark the estimate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this, go back to my main, what we call ProSeries home base, and let's take a look at how you do electronic signatures. Upper left-hand side of the screen is a box called Home Base View. Go to the eFile Center. This is where you do everything related to e-filing, transmitting, tracking the status of the e-filed returns. But there's a column that says eSignature. Kevin Jones, I click Request. First thing it's going to do is verify that there's a valid email address for Kevin. And then once we show that, we'll go ahead and move on through the process of transmitting the e-signature request. Federal, ready to go. Let's hit continue. Now you'll see here it also gives you the option, which is a default yes, to include a watermarked client copy of the return. Because when they open the PDF, they have to have something to review. So we do include a client copy automatically. Okay, but I'm going to disable it just for now and click continue. So the only thing I'm creating right now is the form 8879 for Fed. This was just a federal only tax return. And then the last box that's going to pop up is going to give you some options when you go to transmit. So you see here, e-file signature, it's the e-signature PDF we're about to send the client. Now in prior years, ProSeries could only send an 8879 for signature. 2019, any document can be sent this way. So if you have an engagement letter, some other document, simply either select the document type that you'd like to transmit or simply browse and find the engagement letter. It allows you to place the signature block wherever you like. So it's wide open. We even now allow for the e-signatures of business returns as well. So that's really been opened up quite a bit. Hit next. So now here's where you see the email message that's going to go to Kevin. Now you can edit this message right here and click the button Save as Template if you'd like different verbiage. Ours is very short. You can elaborate on exactly what you're doing. Then hit Next, and then it allows you also to set up reminders. So let's say Kevin doesn't respond within 24 hours. Maybe you'd like to send Kevin a reminder every 1 day after that. So instead of you having to nag Kevin, we'll do the nagging for you. Okay, then hit Next, and we give you the final summary screen. What documents are you sending? Who is the recipient? And reminders, just hit Send. It's that simple. So there's been some really good changes. The last change that I would tell you about in the e-signature is what we call the e-signature dashboard. This was a very welcome change. So when you think about all the e-signatures that you send, it's really nice to be able to know, did the client already sign it? Did they fail authentication? Where is that e-signature in the overall process of sending and receiving? So it'll show the clients that you've transmitted. It'll show exactly what you've sent if you hover over the documents section here. Okay. And it basically gives you a status on everyone that you've sent. So those that were signed will say signed. Those that failed authentication will tell you that. And we also provide little buttons at the top. Attention required, action required. So let's say I had 100 clients listed here, and all I really wanted to see was anyone who declined to do it. I can click declined. And that serves as a filter, and only those that are in the status of declined would actually show up on my screen. How many have been completed? How many am I waiting for the reply? So again, really nice way to keep track, a much cleaner way. And I'll tell you, the taxpayers love our e-signature tool. And one of the things that really struck me was I read a statistic that said something like 85% of every taxpayer who signs this way, getting it from a ProSeries customer, is doing so on a mobile device. So it really, the clients, the taxpayers love it. It's a lot easier for your firm to not only send, but keep track of the overall work. So that's a really quick look at some of the cool features in ProSeries. Again, haven't really even scratched the surface on the overall capabilities, but these are some of our clients' favorite features. Thank you.